Hey everyone! If you enjoyed this video, the full version is available on Patreon. I'll be uploading all my content there going forward.
Chapter 1. The sea breeze carried a salty tang as it stirred the damp gravel underfoot. See Circle Calendar, year 1480, May 21. The sky was blue. The clouds were white. Everything seemed perfectly ordinary. And yet, on an island deep in the new world called Alabbera, muffled thunder-like rumbles echoed through the land. Boom! Boom! Endlessly. The blazing sun scorched the earth, turning the air heavy and hot. Beneath a large tree, several villagers in straw hats sat with their pant legs rolled up, trying to escape the sweltering heat. Their expressions were filled with exasperation. "He's at it again. Can't that Aries kid take a single day off? He's insane. Doesn't even treat himself like a human being. Aries is a monster. A lunatic. If this keeps up, he'll level every mountain on the island." 2. Something snapped in him 3 years ago. It's like he became a different person. One of these days, he's going to kill himself. 1. If you ask me, we should kick that guy off the island. Their words carried both frustration and helplessness. Meanwhile, the subject of their complaints, Aries, stood at the base of a towering mountain roughly 200 to 300 meters high. Before a sheer cliff face, a boy barely 14 or 15 years old stood shirtless, his bronzed skin gleaming in the sunlight. His muscles were dense and sculpted, every inch of him forged like a living statue. He was massive, over 3 meters tall, nearly 4. His sheer size and presence exuded the aura of a feral beast. 2. Aries was deep in his usual training. Hurrah! Boom! With a ferocious roar, he rammed his entire body into the mountain wall. Chunks of rock shattered. Huge cracks spread rapidly across the cliff. Unfazed, Aries struck again. And again. Boom! Boom! Each impact more violent than the last. The cracks widened. Finally, with a thunderous crash, the entire mountain collapsed. 4. Dust filled the air. The ground trembled. Debris buried Aries under a mountain of stone. Moments later, a pair of thick arms burst through the rubble. Aries emerged, shaking off the dust like it was nothing. "This kind of training isn't cutting it anymore," he muttered. A troubled look crossed his face. "If I want my body to match the hardness of a true blade inside and out, this still isn't enough. They say the finest craftsmen in the world forge the supreme grade blades and great grade blades. But I will surpass them. I'll forge a sword that transcends even the supreme 12, using my own body. 6. I'll be the strongest sword this world has ever seen. The hardest blade of all. 4. His eyes burned with a madness-tinged determination as he marched toward the forest. At that moment, a colossal pirate ship appeared off the shores of the island. On its deck, "Jihahahaha! Let's hope this island offers something worth our time," cackled a man with wild golden hair like a lion's mane and twin sabers at his waist. He was none other than the Rocks Pirates' 1st Division commander, Golden Lion Shiki. On the way back from their last campaign, they'd spotted this island. A perfect opportunity for some plundering. For a crew as powerful as the Rocks Pirates, detoring to ransack a village cost them nothing. Another man with a crescent-shaped mustache grinned confidently. 2. Let's make a game of it, Shiki. Whoever grabs the most loot wins. You two trying to ignore me or what? Snapped a towering woman, nearly 8 meters tall, with long pink hair and a fiery figure. She wore nothing but a suit jacket, leaving her toned stomach and deep cleavage boldly exposed. "Same rules as always," declared a broad-shouldered man in a black cloak. "Anything outside the tribute split is fair game. Whoever grabs it keeps it. That includes devil fruits, weapons, and women." This was the captain of the infamous Rocks Pirates, Rocks DZ Beck 5. The moment the captain finished speaking, the deck erupted. Anyone dares take my spoils, they die. Ha, I just want women. If someone finds a pretty one, I'll pay. Can't wait to hear them beg for mercy. Music to my ears. Let's get enough treasure to drown in wine and women for months. One by one, these savage pirates prepared for chaos. One even licked his blade, eyes gleaming with madness. The ship dropped anchor. Move out. Rock's order was met with thunderous footfalls. Jihahahaha. I'm going in first. Shiki launched himself into the air like a golden arrow. Whitebeard leapt from the railing like a hunting falcon, his massive body sprinting faster than a wild predator. Shiki! I'm not letting you hog all the glory, he roared. At 6 meters tall, each of his strides covered meters at a time. He dashed like the wind itself. Wang Ji, clad in thick gold armor, and silver axe, armored in silver, were a bit slower. 3. Charlotte Linling charged forward with a crazed laugh, muscling her way to the front. Behind them, Rox descended the ship at a casual pace, a half-empty bottle swinging in the hand of his companion Captain John. Rox gazed toward the distant village, a smirk on his lips. Only when everyone becomes wolves and tigers will they awaken their true strength. I want people with ambition. Gold doesn't satisfy me anymore. I want territory. Captain John's eyes gleamed with understanding. He downed a mouthful of liquor and let out a crooked grin. What you really want, Captain, is the world. And for that, we need more men. Stronger men. Chapter 2. I need warriors. Brave, relentless warriors. Rock's eyes gleamed with a fierce light as ambition surged inside him. He spoke with commanding force. From here on out, I'll claim the entire new world for myself. I will become king of all pirates. 2. Once upon a time, he formed the Rocks Pirates in pursuit of riches. But now, the Rocks Pirates had grown at an astonishing pace, and wealth no longer satisfied him. Once a man amasses enough treasure, his hunger shifts. He begins to crave something greater. Ambition evolves. Captain John let out a grin. Every pirate in the New World fears your name now. No one can stand against the Rocks Pirates. You'll be king. It's only a matter of time. John had no interest in challenging Rock's authority. He only wanted endless treasure. A swig of strong liquor burned down his throat, warming his gut. As long as he followed Rocks, the loot would keep coming. The two strolled casually into the town. Meanwhile, chaos had already erupted. The pirates of the Rocks crew were like wolves let loose among sheep. The villagers were utterly defenseless against these bloodthirsty veterans of countless battles. Slash! Golden Lion Shiki swung his blade clean across a villager's throat. Blood sprayed. The body hit the dirt with a heavy thud. He casually flicked the blood off his prized blade Kawaii, a great sword, and flashed a chilling grin. Listen up. Hand over all your valuables. No heroics. This guy? This is what happens if you don't comply. We came for your treasure. If you don't want to die, cough up everything you've got. He blew out a puff of smoke, his face calm, uncaring of the sobbing villagers trembling in fear. Other pirates kicked down doors, looting anything of value. They beat or outright killed anyone who stood in their way. Gunshots rang out from deeper in the town. Cries of pain, pleas for mercy, and the sound of ransacking filled the air. It was a scene of utter devastation. Shiki reclined lazily, puffing on his cigar, while his subordinates piled treasures, booze, and even furniture in front of him. The mound of stolen goods soon grew as tall as a man. And he wasn't the only one. Whitebeard, Charlotte Linling, Wang Ji, Silver Axe each was hauling in their share. The more they grabbed, the bigger their personal cut. Groups of pirates started forming around the loot, grinning wildly, their eyes glinting with greed. This place turned out better than expected. Once we're back at Beehive Island, I'm treating myself to 3 bunny girls. Only 3? Pfft! You weak. Forget women. Cigars and booze are the real treasure. Women'll hop from one man's bed to another anyway. Shame the captain said no taking villagers. I'd have loved to bring a few back. You're just thinking with your dick. You really want some woman stabbing you in your sleep? These ones VE got nothing to lose. If you're that desperate, gimme 100,000 belly. I'll stand guard while you get your fun. Deal. The pirates laughed and joked without a care. This was their life. Indulgence. If you didn't plunder enough now to last a lifetime, you'd die penniless. That was the reality of pirate life. But few managed to save. Most spent it all as fast as they got it. After all, if you didn't have the strength to protect your loot, someone else on the ship would gladly take it. As laughter mixed with the villagers weeping, 2 more figures entered the scene: Rox and Captain John. Not bad, Rox remarked as he scanned the mounds of plunder. Same split as always. Captain. Captain Rox rules. Cheers erupted. Then, a sharp gasp. One pirate's eyes went wide with shock. Everyone, look over there. Is that a monster? The town square fell silent. All eyes turned. And there, walking down the road, was a figure so massive and muscular he looked like a bronze-skinned beast. A young man with a body like a grizzly bear, dragging behind him a hulking tiger over 10 meters long. The tiger had yellow and brown stripes and was easily the size of a 2-masted schooner. 5. How heavy was that thing? And yet, this young man carried it effortlessly with one hand. The pirate's expressions changed instantly: shock, fear, awe. That guy feels even more dangerous than the tiger. There's something wild about him. Who the hell is he? A rookie like Kaido? No way, he's one of the villagers. That pressure, it's like a predator's gaze locking on its prey. Even elite pirates of the Rock's crew broke out in cold sweat, hands tightening on their weapons. Jihahaha. Now this is interesting. Shiki's eyes gleamed with delight. He still looks young. Must be a teenager. Whitebeard grinned. This one's got potential. That raw, violent aura of his, it's got weight. Intimidation. He was impressed. Such men were rare. The only recent comparison aboard was their newest recruit Kaido. Another monster. Charlotte Linling licked her lips, her eyes hungry. Think this kid can make me scream. 10. I love young, strong, and pretty. And he's all 3. 4. Captain John chuckled. He looks tough. What do you say, Captain? Should we recruit him? He glanced at Rock's expression. Rox remained calm, though a flicker of interest shone in his eyes. Among the huddled villagers, a flicker of hope stirred. An old man rushed forward, tears in his eyes. Aries. Please. Stop these pirates. Save us. Chapter 3. Pirates. Aries stopped in his tracks, his expression flat, gaze shifting slowly toward the old man. Then, he turned his eyes toward the pirates, as if speaking to himself. So, these are pirates. There was no change in his voice, no shift in his face. He looked cold, detached, emotionless. One could have mistaken him for a machine wearing human skin. The old man's desperate cry sparked waves of laughter among the pirates. Ha ha ha, you senile old fool. Even if this guy's strong, we're the Rock's pirates. You think one man can stand up to the Rock's pirates? That's hilarious. Clearly you don't get it. Just hearing our name makes half the Grand Line piss themselves. Wake up, old man. No one defies the will of the Rock's pirates. 100 or more pirates burst into mocking laughter, sneering at the old man groveling in the dust. Then, Aries did something that caught everyone off guard. 1. He turned to Rox DZ back, the most fearsome man present, and asked, "Dead serious? Do you know how to forge a person into the sharpest, strongest blade in the world?" 3. Silence. For a few seconds, it was as if the entire world had stopped. Then came an eruption of laughter. "Pwahaha! Did I hear that right? This guy wants to turn himself into a blade. I can't breathe. What a lunatic. That's a new one. Never heard of someone trying to become a sword before. What kind of idiot thinks human flesh can be harder than steel? 1. This guy's got screws loose. He must be nuts." The crowd of pirates howled with laughter, some even wiping tears from their eyes. Whitebeard, watching, gave a low chuckle. "Interesting, he wants to forge himself into a blade." His gaze grew more intense. "The sea's full of lunatics. But the ones who break limits? Those are the ones worth watching." He was curious now. Could this boy actually do it? Golden Lion Shiki puffed his cigar and snorted. "Even if you trained every day of your life, your flesh can't match a supreme grade blade." He would know. Both his swords Oto and Kawaii were great grade. Human bodies weren't meant to rival weapons. Charlotte Linling, meanwhile, licked her lips. Her eyes roamed hungrily over Aries' bronze-skinned chest, muscles chiseled like a statue. "Screw swords. I just want to bear strong children. That body's something else. Stronger than any pretty boy giant I've seen." Her sultry gaze never left him. Through it all, Aries didn't flinch. Not once. His cold eyes stayed locked on Zebek. Rox laughed. Wild, unrestrained. "Ha, ha, ha." Then his voice dropped low, intense, like the clash of steel. "Battle." Aries blinked. "Battle." Rock's tone was resolute. "Only through relentless combat can you grow stronger. Only through battle can you be tempered into an unbreakable blade." There was approval in his eyes, buried beneath the fury. Most would call Aries insane. But madmen were often the ones who changed the world. "Battle." Aries murmured. Then he smiled. A fierce, bright, bone-deep smile. His voice turned hoarse with excitement. "Then fight me. I challenge you." A wild aura exploded from his body, primal and savage, like a beast raised in the wilds. The pirates reeled. Did he just challenge Captain Rox? Is this kid insane? Rox has a bounty of 3.5 billion. He's the most wanted man alive. He's a dead man walking. This is suicide. It's official. He's a lunatic. 3. You couldn't even beat one of us, let alone the captain. The pirates laughed, jeered, cursed. But even they could feel it. 1. This wasn't normal. Whitebeard laughed heartily. Grrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr rocks in his own reckless youth. Shiki exhaled a cloud of smoke and chuckled. Didn't think this island would have a gem like him. Maybe I'll take him under my wing. Silver Axe, clad in shining armor, gave a sideways glance to Wang Ji. What do you think? Another monster like Linling. The tension in the air grew thick. And Aries stood unshaken. Chapter 4. TCH. Behind his mask, Silver Axe sneered in disapproval and muttered, "No way. Linling's a once-in-a-lifetime monster. That kid's nowhere near her level. You know how tough her skin is. Unless you're a top-tier swordsman, don't even think about cutting through it." Though the young man standing before them was certainly burly, every muscle brimming with explosive force, radiating the wild presence of a beast, there was simply no comparison. In this world, no human had yet been born who could rival Linling's monstrous physique. If she hadn't poured so much of her energy into childbirth, she might have surpassed even Whitebeard and Shiki as the most powerful figure under rocks. Fair point, Wang Ji nodded in agreement, stroking his massive black beard that nearly matched his height. Even if he's no freak of nature, there's no denying his potential. He squinted at Aries, who stared ahead without a hint of fear. Then Wang Ji chuckled. "Heh. Let's see how the captain deals with him." All the surrounding pirates wore the same amused look. They were ready to enjoy the show. Suddenly, a booming voice cut through the air. "Hey, brat! You're not worthy of challenging the captain. Let me be your opponent." A towering figure emerged from the crowd. Broad-shouldered, built like a war beast, with two horns protruding from his head and a massive kanabo slung across his back. He was easily 7 or 8 meters tall, twice Aries' size. Muscles bulged across his chest and arms like slabs of steel, his very presence warping the air with pressure. The crowd parted instinctively. "It's the monster in training. Kaido. TCH, look at that. Trying to get in the captain's good graces, hey. Oh ho ho. This'll be fun. Two muscle-bound monsters going at it. My money's on Kaido. He's a walking fortress. He towers over that kid. Yeah. Teach that cocky brat a lesson." The pirates roared with excitement, whistles and jeers rising from all directions. Rox glanced over, a devilish grin tugging at his lips. "Zay ha 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 ha. It's you, Kaido. So you want to test your strength against him?" Among the rookies, Kaido was the one who'd left the deepest impression. Brutally strong, endlessly driven, and full of ambition. Just the type of pirate Rox loved. Kaido took a few heavy steps forward, stopping just before Aries. He bared his teeth in a grin. "Of course I do. I want to see what this brat's made of." He swung the kanabo off his shoulder. The massive club hit the ground with a deafening thud, kicking up a cloud of dust. Rox let out a deep laugh. "Good. He's yours. Let's see what this little maniac is capable of." He had no intention of fighting himself. Only those who could stand at the summit of the seas were worthy of challenging Rox. Kaido stepped forward, casting a towering shadow over Aries. They stood meters apart. He looked down at the youth and sneered. "You've got no business going up against the captain. So I'll knock some sense into you myself. Show you what the Rox pirates are made of." Aries looked up, gaze calm, as unreadable as the stars. There wasn't a trace of fear. He asked, quietly, "You want to fight me?" "Worororora." Kaido laughed like thunder. "No, brat. I'm not fighting you. I'm teaching you a lesson. And you won't survive even one punch." He raised an arm thick as a tree trunk, muscles bulging grotesquely. The punch came down like a falling boulder, howling through the air with terrifying force. The wind itself shrieked at the impact. The pirate's eyes widened, eager to see how the boy would respond. Boom! With a thunderous crash, Aries' body flew backward like a ragdoll, slamming into the ground dozens of meters away. Dust and debris burst into the sky. A moment of stunned silence. Even the island's villagers stood slack-jawed. That was it? Wait, that's all? Kaido one-shot him. What the hell? He didn't even try to dodge. I thought this guy was a beast. Turns out he's just a meathead. Wahahaha. That tiger he dragged back? Must have been already dead when he found it. The crowd roared with laughter, eyes filled with disdain. They'd expected a fight to remember. Instead, they got a joke. It felt like clicking on a fight video, only to realize it was a legal seminar. Disappointment, then boredom, then mockery. But on the other side of the crowd, Golden Lion Shiki wore a knowing smirk and turned to look at Whitebeard. Whitebeard met his gaze. Both men's eyes gleamed with anticipation. And it had nothing to do with romance. 1. Chapter 5. Smoke curled from Shiki's lips as he chuckled wickedly. Jihahahaha, what an arrogant brat. But I'm starting to like this kid more and more. Whitebeard's eyes sparkled with a sharp gleam. Locking gazes with Shiki, he let out his trademark laugh. Grrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr flashed in midair, igniting an invisible spark. Behind them, the pirates looked utterly confused. Aries had just been sent flying by Kaido, so why were these two legends even more intrigued by the kid? Among the onlookers, Linling's crewmate Longbread stared at the fading dust, a serious look on his face. That kid, he muttered. Could he be another monster? As a swordsman of considerable renown himself, he had seen clearly what had just happened. Aries had willingly rushed headlong into Kaido's punch as if craving the impact. It made no sense. It was as if the boy wanted to be hit. Linling licked her lips, her eyes burning with a primal hunger. 3. With a body that's strong, I'll breed the most perfect offspring, she said breathlessly. A monster with another monster. What comes from that union, will be another monster. Her heart surged with anticipation. Kaido, Aries. If I mate with them, I'll create the most powerful bloodline in the world. 4. The reactions of these high-ranking pirates only fueled the confusion among the rest of the crew. All eyes turned toward the lingering cloud of dust. And then, from within it, a hulking shadow emerged. It was Aries. He hadn't been defeated. Every pirate in the area was thinking the same thing. Did even Kaido's punch fail to bring him down? They knew how terrifying Kaido's strength was. He might not be the strongest on the ship yet, but in terms of raw power, few could rival him. That punch of his could easily pulverize solid stone. As they watched, Aries calmly stepped out of the smoke, murmuring to himself. That was a good punch, he said. It actually made my body vibrate. Better than crashing into a mountain. And the way he delivers power, it's different from mine. Aries was curious. He wanted to learn how warriors outside his island fought. That pirate had said it through battle, one could forge themselves into the sharpest of blades. And Aries believed it. So he had taken Kaido's punch head on. No tricks. No hesitation. Now, he was analyzing the impact. Dissecting it. This was the first time he had encountered truly powerful pirates. It filled him with hope. Hope that he could turn himself into a blade more powerful than even the supreme grade swords. As he stepped through the dust, jaws dropped. The pirates couldn't believe their eyes. Some even looked like their chins had literally hit the floor. What the hell? He took Kaido's punch and walked away. That's not human. Even steel would have buckled. He's a monster. No wonder he dared challenge the captain. He's no ordinary punk. Oh ho ho, now this'll be interesting. Which little monster's gonna win? Wanna place a bet? I got $1 million on Kaido. I'll put $500,000 on the brat. Cheers and shouts erupted around them. Whatever doubts they had about Aries vanished. Taking Kaido's punch without flinching? That wasn't something just anyone could do. Kaido himself looked stunned. He's fine. That punch could have wrecked a pirate ship. Aside from the captains, no one on the crew should have been able to withstand it. And yet, that kid had taken it head on. Kaido's eyes narrowed. His body, it's insanely tough. Gone was his smug bravado. Now, Kaido looked at Aries with genuine respect and wariness. From the crowd, someone sucked in a sharp breath. What the hell is this kid? He might have the same freakish durability as Linling. But Kaido will still win, right? That speaker had fought beside Kaido for a while. He knew how devastating that punch was. If he'd taken it himself, he'd be coughing up blood. Almost no one could withstand that kind of force. Meanwhile, Whitebeard smirked and nudged Shiki. Hey, Yellow Mane, feel like making this interesting? Shiki sneered. Ha! You betting against me, old Whitebeard? Who you got? Whitebeard looked back and forth between Aries and Kaido. I'll take the brat. 100 million berries. You in? His snowy mustache twitched in challenge. Shiki barked a laugh. You're on. I'll back Kaido. That guy's not just a monster, he's a grinder. Been training non-stop. His battle instincts blow that brats out of the water. Even some of our senior members can't handle Kaido. This time, the win's mine. Whitebeard shrugged. Maybe. But Aries, that kid's the toughest body I've seen besides Linling. He might surprise us. His eyes were fixed on Aries, who wore the same calm expression as before. No fear. No anger. Just pure focus. It didn't matter who stood before him. The boy didn't flinch. The two titans watched closely. Aries had stepped forward again, now face to face with Kaido. His voice was cold as ever. That punch. It wasn't strong enough. Chapter 6. Aries spoke as if stating a fact, his voice calm and emotionless. That punch wasn't strong enough. Kaido's eyes flared with rage, the flames of fury reflected in his enormous pupils. My punch lacked power. No one had ever dared say that to him. His strength was his pride, and this brat had just stomped all over it. Unforgivable. You little bastard. I'll show you what real power looks like. Kaido bellowed. He reached down and gripped his massive kanabo, veins bulging like cords beneath his skin. They snaked across his arms, pulsing with fury and raw power. A savage aura erupted from him as he roared, swinging the giant weapon down toward Aries. It screamed through the air, howling like a banshee. Kaido's eyes locked onto his target, wild and unblinking. This strike would leave nothing behind but blood and pulp. Let's see you block this, punk. Just as the kanabo came crashing down, Aries moved. A blur of motion. A crouch. A jump. He sprang up like a monkey, bounding high into the air. And landed neatly atop the very weapon aimed to crush him. What? Kaido's eyes widened in disbelief. Aries stood on the kanabo, poised and balanced. Then, his fist came flying. A massive, brutal punch slammed straight into Kaido's face. Crack! The blow drilled deep into Kaido's thick, rubbery skin, driving into his skull like a sledgehammer. His nose shattered. Blood burst out in a red spray. Teeth flew from his mouth. Kaido's enormous body reeled backward, his grip loosening. The kanabo clattered to the ground. Then, boom! Kaido crashed onto the earth like a falling mountain. Dust exploded into the air. Aries landed beside him with all the grace of a predator, calm and focused. Kaido, he said, his voice flat. I'll remember your name. That punch of yours, it helped. Let me push my power further. He'd mimicked Kaido's technique the way he'd thrown that punch, and it worked. It was better than anything he'd learned from fighting beasts. Stronger. Sharper. Quieter than a graveyard, the crowd stared. They couldn't believe it. Kaido downed in one punch. A pirate near the front swallowed hard. That kid, he's insanely strong. The dam broke. Shocked voices erupted. Kaido lost. One punch. What the hell is this monster? My money. Damn it, Kaido. I actually bet on you. I believed in you. 1. The area was a frenzy of disbelief and outrage. Kaido wasn't just any rookie, he was the strongest among them. Even seasoned officers would think twice before challenging him. And now? He'd been dropped like a sack of potatoes. No one saw that coming. Not even Rocks. Eyes narrowing, Rocks let out a low chuckle, baring his gleaming white teeth. Jihahaha, this brat is something else. Sharp reflexes, monstrous strength, unshakable will. He'll make one hell of a pirate. Rocks threw his head back and laughed. He'd come to this island expecting treasure but found something better. A monster worth raising. Aries had potential. Real, Terrifying potential. Captain John tipped back his bottle, guzzled deeply, and wiped his mouth. That kid, what a natural, he said with a grin. No training. No guidance. And he's already this strong. Give him 2 or 3 years on this ship, and only the captain will be able to keep him in check. John was more than pleased. The Rock's pirates were filled with ambitious, ruthless men. Another monster was always welcome. More strength meant more power to challenge the world. To stand against the great beast looming over all. The world government. Not far off, Whitebeard beamed with satisfaction, flashing a smug smile at Shiki. Gururera, told you the brat would win. I'll take that 100 million now. Aries just made me rich. He was positively giddy. Winning that bet was more satisfying than raiding a treasure ship. And watching Shiki's stunned face? Pure bliss. Whitebeard laughed so hard, it echoed through the crowd. Shiki scowled and gritted his teeth around his cigar. TCH. You only picked him first. I didn't have a choice, damn it. This time, you won. Next time, I'll win. But his gaze never left Aries. That fire in his eyes burned bright. I want him, he muttered. 4. That brat, he'll shake this whole sea one day. He thought back to when Kaido had joined the crew. Too bad the guy got tangled up with Linling. With Aries now on board, Shiki couldn't help but wonder. Could the kid survive Linling's appetite? Chapter 7. Shiki's grin gradually faded as a troubling thought crept into his mind. Damn, this won't do. If Aries joins the Rock's pirates, someone has to warn him, that crazy woman Linling is off limits. 2. That beast treats people like breeding stock. He'd seen what happened to men who got involved with Linling. None of them had a happy ending. To her, they were just tools for producing children. Meanwhile, Aries hadn't even spared Kaido a second glance. His burning gaze was fixed squarely on one man, Rock's DZ. His usual calm expression had melted into a faint unmistakable excitement. 2. With a hoarse voice, he asked, now can I fight you? After fighting Kaido, he'd learned something valuable. That punch, its force, its technique taught him how to better unleash his strength. He was hungry now. Hungry for more. Fighting really does sharpen you. That pirate was right. Combat is how you forged yourself into a blade. His blood boiled with anticipation. His heart pounded like a war drum. He wanted this. He wanted to fight someone stronger. Wang Ji watched him with amazement. This kid's got guts. Still wants to challenge the captain. Beat Kaido and thinks he's ready to face the infamous Rocks. He hadn't expected Aries to stay humble or bold after defeating Kaido. Even Silver Axe snorted with amusement. That's what makes kids like him fun. He doesn't even know how vast the sea really is. If he did, would he still dare challenge Rocks? Everyone watched like they were front row at the best show in the world. The surrounding pirates began to cheer and jeer, egging things on. Captain Rocks, show him your power. Yeah. Teach that little punk what real strength looks like. Give him a taste of the sea's top dog. Excitement surged like a tidal wave. This was way more entertaining than raiding treasure or partying on Hakinosu. But Aries didn't react. Not a twitch. Not a blink. His eyes remained locked on Rocks alone. He could feel it, this man before him was more dangerous than any beast he'd ever faced. His heart thundered. Like war drums calling him forward. He's strong. Really strong. If I fight him, I'll grow. Learn more. Make my body even tougher. I'll forge myself into a blade mightier than the 12 supreme grade swords. Without knowing it, Aries radiated a wild, feral energy. The aura of a predator who'd clawed his way through countless beasts. Rocks studied him, amused. The boy was tall, half a head taller than him and overflowing with primal spirit. But even with all that potential, his Haki told Rocks that Aries wasn't a threat. Not yet. Still, he smiled with interest. You want to fight me, he said. Fine, but if you lose, you join my crew. He wasn't worried. The brat was powerful, yes. He'd tanked Kaido's punch and flattened him like it was nothing. But he was raw. Uncut. Rocks was intrigued. He wanted to mold him. Deal. Aries shouted instantly. Then let's fight. He clenched his fists, eager beyond words. His muscles cracked and popped as he stretched. As if Kaido hadn't even warmed him up. All around them, the pirates held their breath. They didn't want to miss a second of what was coming. Silence fell. So quiet, you could hear the wind. And beneath it the pounding of Aries's heart. Rocks grinned, cocky and fearless. Come at me, kid. In a blink, Aries exploded forward. The ground cracked beneath his feet as he launched. He shot toward Rocks like a cannonball, fist cocked back. The force of it bent the air itself. This punch had once killed a 10-meter-tall giant ape. It had crushed the skull of a black-furred mountain bear. Rox's eyes gleamed with anticipation. Haha. That's it, he laughed. But you're not ready yet. I'll be waiting for the day you truly can challenge me. He raised his own fist and threw it. Boom. Their fists collided. The air screamed. Aries felt like a mountain had slammed into him at full speed. His body flew through the air like a meteor. Hundreds of meters in a flash. One punch. The same monster who casually defeated Kaido, was sent flying like a ragdoll. A thunderous crash shook the island. Rocks calmly lowered his arm. He turned to Captain John and said, "Bring the kid back to the ship. From now on, he's part of the Rocks pirates." Then, with a grin that could cut steel, he declared to everyone. And not as some rookie. He's joining as an official crew member. Chapter 8. An official crew member. Shiki's face froze with surprise at Rock's decision. But after a brief pause, his expression relaxed and turned into a grin. Not bad. That kid really does have what it takes to be a full-fledged member of the Rocks pirates. Everyone saw what he's capable of. Among the official crew, few could actually beat him. Whitebeard stepped up to Rocks, his voice serious and his tone unusually earnest. "Captain Rocks, would you let Aries join my unit? A talent like that, properly nurtured, could become a powerful right hand." Whitebeard genuinely hoped to take him under his wing. Before Rocks could answer, an angry voice thundered across the deck. "Bastard! Aries should be in my unit." Shiki erupted in fury, using the power of his float fruit to zip beside Whitebeard in a flash. He turned to Rocks with urgency. "Captain! I like that kid. Let him join my division." If Whitebeard snagged him first, his squad would grow too powerful. That couldn't happen. Shiki had seen Aries first. There was no way he was giving him up. Whitebeard's expression darkened. He glared at Shiki and growled, "You want to sleep with the sea tonight, Blondie?" Shiki bared his teeth, biting hard on his cigar and snapping back, "Say that again and I'll slice off that ridiculous mustache." The two glared at each other, foreheads nearly touching, eyes locked in open hostility. "Aries is mine. I called dibs first. He's joining my division. He'll pick me over you." The argument exploded into a heated back and forth. Then suddenly, behind them, a towering woman with an hourglass figure stepped forward. Charlotte Linling. Without hesitation, she shouted, "That Aries kid. I want him." She said it like she was claiming ownership. Whitebeard and Shiki turned to face her, their expressions equally stunned. And in perfect sync, they yelled, "No way! Aries is mine!" The rare moment of agreement made them turn and glare at each other again, sparks flying between their eyes. The rest of the Rocks pirates stood around watching the chaos, grinning in amusement. Some even looked envious. It was obvious the commanders were all fighting over Aries, wanting to make him their protégé. Who wouldn't want that opportunity? Being under a commander's protection meant safety, loot, and luxury. As the bickering continued, a shout suddenly rang out from the first mate, Captain John. "Wait, he's not hurt." Everyone turned to look. Far off in the distance, Aries stood calmly next to Captain John. Aside from a trickle of blood at the corner of his mouth, he looked completely fine. "Whew!" Longbread gasped, shocked. "That kid," he took a punch from Captain Rox and he's still standing. 1. He was sent flying for hundreds of meters and came back like nothing happened. Unreal. If he had taken a punch like that from Rox, he'd be out cold or worse. "Monster!" he muttered. "That kid's a damn monster." Wang Ji was stunned too. "He's still fine?" Even Rox didn't hold back entirely. Silver Axe chimed in, baffled. "We underestimated this kid. What the hell is that body made of? There's no way there's another freak like Linling out there, right? Linling had skin like iron balloons. Without top-tier armament Haki, no one could scratch her. And she could heal by stuffing her face with cake. A walking tank. But now this kid. Was he just as absurd?" Longbread's mind raced, trembling at the idea. Then he had a thought. A ridiculous, insane thought. What if Aries and Linling teamed up? Had children? 1? 2? A dozen? In his mind, he saw Aries and Linling side by side, raising a horde of monstrous children who would one day rule the seas. He started breathing heavily, face flushed with excitement. What a glorious future that would be! Meanwhile, Aries followed Captain John quietly. But in his mind, he was replaying Rock's punch over and over. "There's no way his frame is stronger than mine," he thought. "So how did he overpower me so easily? That punch, that technique." His brain worked like a projector, rewinding the moment again and again. He mimicked it as he walked, copying Rock's exact motions. With each attempt, the air around his fist howled. Wind cut the air. Power built. Captain John noticed. He stared, wide-eyed. "Aries, you're copying Captain Rox. What kind of monster had that kind of learning ability? Just what had this kid gone through in his life?" Chapter 9. That punch was strong. Aries didn't even lift his head as he answered, still focused on mimicking the blow that had sent him flying. His punches grew faster and faster. Blasts of wind surged outward in every direction, sweeping the dust clean from the ground, revealing the bare earth beneath. Captain John, watching from the side, had only one thought in his heart. This kid is destined for greatness. He would become one of the strongest beings in the world. A monster not just in strength and potential but now in learning ability too. Terrifying. Silver Axe noticed too. His pupils shrank as he stared at Aries. He's mimicking Captain Rox. The greatest trait of humans was their ability to learn, to adapt, to grow. And the speed of one's learning determined how quickly they rose. Unbelievable. His punches are getting stronger. Silver Axe was speechless. Aries had already flattened Kaido with one punch. Now he was getting even stronger? In real time? Meanwhile, Kaido slowly regained consciousness. He barely remembered the blow that knocked him out cold. As awareness returned, his eyes flew open. "I lost." He jumped up, rage burning in his chest. He glared at Aries, shouting, "Brat! I let my guard down. This time, I'll smash you." His pride burned. The most promising rookie on the Rox crew had been humiliated in front of everyone. One punch. Right in the face. He couldn't live this down. As he prepared to charge, a massive hand landed on his shoulder, freezing him in place. Kaido turned, stunned. Linling. Don't stop me. I'm gonna crush that brat. No. Linling ignored his fury, holding him firmly. You lost. Whether you admit it or not, he beat you. Now shut up and get stronger. The man I like never gives up. Kaido blinked in disbelief. His heart stirred, moved by her words. But the feeling didn't last long. Because her next sentence crushed him like a hammer. Aries is the man I want. Her eyes blazed with possessiveness and a frighteningly clear intention to make babies. Aries' sunlit, bronze-forged body gleamed. To her, every muscle was pure temptation. 1. Shiki immediately snapped, he's joining my unit. No. He's joining mine. Whitebeard shot back. Enough. Rock's commanding voice silenced the chaos. His eyes locked on Aries. You lost. Will you now join the Rock's pirates? 1. Dark energy radiated from his towering form. His coat billowed without wind. His seaweed-like hair floated unnaturally. Aries raised his head, voice brimming with excitement. I will. I'll forge myself into the strongest blade through battle. Rox burst out laughing. Ha ha ha, stubborn little brat. Aries, welcome to the Rox Pirates. I am Rox D. Zebek, captain of this ship. Whitebeard wasted no time. He wrapped an arm around Aries' shoulder and said with a big grin, Kid, I like you. Join my unit. Shiki shot forward in a flash, scowling. Don't listen to him. My swordsmanship's the best on this ship. Join me and I'll teach you how to wield a blade that can split the sea. His golden hair whipped around with energy and pride. Shiki's swordsmanship combined with his float fruit made him one of the greatest sword masters in the world. Not to be outdone, Whitebeard threw in his offer, Kid, join my unit. I'll teach you how to harness your raw strength. My fists are unmatched. My swordplay is better. Shiki's voice rose. My fists are stronger. Whitebeard fired back. And just like that, the two were arguing again. Not wanting to be left behind, Linling stepped in. She shoved the two aside with surprising strength and stood in front of Aries. Aries is mine. Neither of you get him. No way. I saw him first. Shiki yelled. Join me. Whitebeard shouted. The crew didn't even flinch. They were used to this madness. On this ship, these three were constantly at odds. Only Rox himself had the power and presence to keep them in line. Even senior members like Wang Ji, Silver Axe, and Captain John wouldn't dare interfere. Aries, meanwhile, stayed calm. He didn't care whose unit he joined. All that mattered was becoming a blade forged through combat. As for the shouting around him, he barely noticed. His mind was still replaying Rock's punch. No matter how many times he mimicked it, he couldn't replicate the power. Seeing the quarrel drag on, Rox finally barked. Enough. Aries will stay with Wang Ji for now. Chapter 10. With me. Wang Ji froze when he heard Captain Rock's decision. His face twitched in disbelief. You want that brat to follow me? But after a brief moment of shock, he understood Rock's intent. Obviously, the captain wanted to avoid strengthening any one faction too much. Giving Aries to Whitebeard, Shiki, or Linling would only upset the balance of power aboard the ship. So he threw the kid to Wang Ji. Still, he had no choice. Fine. I'll take him. He waved at Aries. Kid, over here. From now on, you're with me. I'll teach you the rules of the Rox Pirates. Aries shrugged off Whitebeard's arm and headed over to Wang Ji without a word. Whitebeard frowned, disappointment flickering in his eyes. He had high hopes for Aries. If the boy had joined his unit, they might have built a strong bond and become formidable partners. He sighed. There was nothing he could say against the captain's orders. Shiki was equally downcast. Losing such a promising recruit stung. But the one most visibly frustrated was none other than Charlotte Linling. Her eyes locked on Aries, and she licked her lips hungrily. "I won't give up," she muttered. "Only a man with a body and potential like his is worthy of me, worthy of bearing my children." 2. Her blunt declaration sent a chill down Whitebeard and Shiki's spines. They both backed away instinctively. "She's a freak." 1. Everything that came out of her mouth was twisted and perverse. Rox turned to Wang Ji. "Take Aries back to the ship. Show him the ropes." 1. With the order given, Wang Ji began leading Aries toward the pirate ship anchored at the shore. Meanwhile, Rox made his way toward the terrified villagers huddled together, shaking and clinging to one another. He knelt in front of the elder who had earlier begged Aries for help. "Tell me about the boy." He was curious about Aries' past. The old man flinched, inching backward instinctively, his voice trembling. Please, don't kill me. Take whatever you want." He bowed deeply, unable to meet Rox's gaze. Captain John stepped forward, irritated. "Hey, old man. The captain asked you a question. You wanna die? Answer already." The elder flinched hard, then blurted everything out like his life depended on it. Aries, his father was a famous blacksmith. One of the best. A few years back, he forged a legendary blade. But it was stolen. His father died trying to protect it, leaving Aries all alone. At first, things were fine, but, 3 years ago, the boy suddenly went crazy. The old man's voice trembled as he recalled the day Aries ran into the streets. He had burst out of his house, wild-eyed, asking everyone the same question. "How can I turn myself into a blade stronger than any supreme-grade sword?" People were terrified. Aries had always helped his father in the forge. Even as a young teen, he was strong as an ox. No one could stop him. He was like a man possessed. Eventually, a villager told him that through relentless training, a man could forge his body like steel. And so, Aries began his training. Non-stop. If he wasn't eating or sleeping, he was training. What started as normal push-ups and weightlifting evolved into him slamming his body into trees. Then into boulders. Then into mountains. Rox stood slowly, eyes narrowing as he turned toward the sea. So he's a bit broken in the head. But what potential! With nothing but brute training and battles against beasts, he's already grown this strong. A true monster. Unlike Linling, who wasted her gifts chasing cake and chaos, Aries was fully committed to growth. Hardworking. Driven. Unrelenting. Rox had no doubt. Between the two, he favored Aries. He turned toward the pirates at the shore. "Weigh anchor. We're heading back." Captain John took a sip of his booze, eyes sparkling with excitement. "Once this brat grows up, he won't lose to Whitebeard or Shiki." He strolled along behind Rox. Kaido had overheard everything. He clenched his fists, shocked at the lengths Aries had gone through. He trained like that. A fierce light flashed in his eyes. "I won't lose. I'll do hell training too. Next time, I'll be the one who wins." He burned with resolve as he followed the others back to the ship. At the coast, Aries looked up at the massive pirate vessel before him. It was like a fortress of war. Even at 4 meters tall, he felt small next to it. Wang Ji grinned proudly. "Big, hey. We're the Rocks Pirates. Strongest crew on the seas. Just hearing our name makes other pirates piss themselves. Ha 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 ha." He burst into laughter, clearly enjoying the thought. Aries, however, remained expressionless. Unless it had to do with becoming a blade, he didn't care. Wang Ji clapped him on the shoulder. "You're officially part of the crew now. Plenty of battles ahead. Grow fast, monster. I can't wait to see what you become." Chapter 11. I crave battle too. Aries answered Wang Ji with uncontained excitement. The fights against Kaido and rocks had noticeably improved his strength much faster than ramming himself into mountains. He walked to the shoreline, leapt into the air, and landed in the ocean with a loud splash. Wang Ji was stunned, his eyes practically bulging out of his head. He yelled toward the water, "Aries! What the hell are you doing? Come on board with us!" Was the kid insane? No. Aries resurfaced, treading water with his head above the waves. "You guys take the ship. I'll swim behind." Good training. The cold sea felt crisp and freeing. He liked it. Wang Ji couldn't help but be impressed. "If you can't keep up, get on the ship." "Got it." Aries nodded. "Got it." Wang Ji shook his head in disbelief. No wonder he's a damn monster. He really goes all in. He thought back to how Aries had volunteered to take Kaido's punch. The guy practically threw himself into danger. A complete lunatic. Other captains were returning to shore. Whitebeard's brows knitted when he saw Aries in the ocean. "Wang Ji! Why is Aries in the water?" Shiki, Linling, and other crewmates turned their curious eyes to Wang Ji as well. Wang Ji waved it off. "Wasn't my idea." He jumped in himself. Said he wanted to swim behind the ship. Training, apparently. No way he'd ever do something that extreme. Screw that. He'd rather be in bed, armor off, napping. Whitebeard's expression shifted to admiration. No wonder the kid's so strong. He never stops training. This guy, he's relentless. The regret in Whitebeard's heart grew deeper. If only Aries had joined his unit. Now 32, Whitebeard, an orphan from youth, longed for family. Seeing Aries stirred something paternal in him. Not a swordplay rivalry. Something deeper. Something familial. Shiki took a long drag on his cigar, the ember flaring bright. "Kid's what, 14, 15. If he keeps this up, who knows how strong he'll be." He was already absurdly gifted. With that work ethic, he might surpass everyone. Most men peak around 40 or 50. Aries had decades to climb before that. Shiki couldn't even imagine what his future would look like. "I don't care how scary he gets. The stronger he is, the more I like him." Linling licked her red lips, eyes gleaming with desire. She stared at Aries's bronzed, rippling muscles as he swam behind the ship, her mind lost in fantasy. Her cheeks flushed, her eyes hazy. Even if it was just imagination, she was loving every second. Rocks arrived at the ship, smirking. He called to Aries, "Get on board if you get tired. I'll have a room prepared for you." He stepped onto the gangplank. Other members of the Rocks pirates looked at Aries with new respect. Nobody else would swim the seas just to train. With sea monsters lurking, it was borderline suicidal. Aries was clearly insane. Kaido showed up just in time to witness it. His face twisted in disbelief. Then darkened. He stood there silently for a long moment before clenching his fists. "I'm not losing to him." He was about to rest, but no longer. He was going to train. "I absolutely won't." He turned and stormed aboard. And just like that, the competition had officially begun. Raise anchor. Set sail. The massive pirate ship started cutting through the waves. Aries swam close behind. Aside from breaks for food and rest, he spent the next 5 days in the ocean. By the time they neared Hive Island's port, he had won over nearly the entire crew. The port was vast, crowded with dozens of ships both large and small. Most belonged to subordinate crews of the Rocks pirates. Others were affiliated with underground syndicates. Hive Island was a magnet for pirates and criminals. Its underworld was a tangled web of power. Rocks didn't care. He believed power was everything. Women, treasure, booze, territory. As long as you were strong enough to keep it, it was yours. On this island, assassinations and thievery were as common as the tide. As the Rocks pirates' flagship approached the dock, eyes from all over the port turned toward it. The name alone, Rocks Pirates, was enough to command fear. On the pier stood a tall, sultry woman, easily 3 to 4 meters in height. She wore a leopard print bodysuit that clung to every curve. Her figure was full and fierce. Bright red lipstick coated her lips, and oversized sunglasses shielded her eyes. In her arms was a massive bouquet of blood-red roses. 1. Chapter 12. It's Miss Bakken. She's here again to confess to Whitebeard. She's been rejected so many times, but she never gives up. That kind of persistence, it's gotta win Newgate over someday. 1. I'm so jealous of that guy, how'd he end up with Miss Bakken falling for him? Chatter filled the deck of the Rocks pirates' ship as dozens of crewmates gossiped and drooled over the scene playing out on the port. With Bakken's voluptuous figure and skin-tight clothes, more than a few eyes were practically glued to her. Silver Axe leaned over the railing and whistled toward the port. Miss Bakken. If Whitebeard won't have you, how about giving me a shot? That immediately sent the nearby pirates into howls of laughter. Scram! Or I'll kill you myself. Bakken's voice roared from the shore, full of venom. Silence fell like a hammer. The entire port went dead still. Bakken slowly took off her sunglasses, revealing a pair of stunning eyes that scanned the towering pirate ship. Searching for Whitebeard. Whitebeard, meanwhile, was awkwardly hiding behind the mast, grumbling to himself. She's here again. Didn't I already tell her not to confess in front of everyone? He was clearly stressed. He didn't want to settle down. As a pirate, his life was full of danger. He couldn't protect anyone. He could die any day. Shiki puffed on his cigar with a teasing smirk. Whitebeard, maybe it's time you said yes to her. You know how many guys would kill to be in your position. Whitebeard shot him a death glare. Shut the hell up. Shiki chuckled and floated off toward the dock. Meanwhile, a loud splash echoed across the port. Aries burst out of the sea like a dolphin, landing on the dock with a soaking wet thud. Water streamed from his clothes as he stood tall, surveying the bustling hive of activity. 1. So this is the Rocks pirates' base. He shook himself dry, water spraying from his pants like rain. Wang Ji walked up beside him. Come on. Let's get you into some dry clothes. You're expected at the feast tonight. It's tradition. Every time we return victorious, we party hard. Aries nodded and followed him toward Skull Castle, the massive fortress at the island's heart. His towering frame drew attention. People stared and whispered. Who was this stranger walking beside Officer Wang Ji? Hive Island's streets were home to pirates and criminals alike. Even the so-called civilians were anything but soft. Soon, Wang Ji led Aries into a private room. This is yours from now on. Being an official member of the Rocks Pirates comes with perks. A hell of a lot safer than living outside the castle walls. Out there, you'd have to worry about someone gutting you in your sleep and stealing everything you own. 1. Even your organs. This world was brutal. Ruthless. The booming pirate era had spawned a massive underground economy. There was profit to be made in everything: intel, women, weapons, stolen goods, contraband. Even body parts. But Aries only had one question. Is there a place to train? Wang Ji blinked. Then laughed. You really never stop, huh? You're dead set on turning yourself into the ultimate blade. His eyes glinted as he replied, Skull Castle has a training facility. Get changed, and I'll show you. He leaned against the doorframe while Aries changed, his eyes drifting to the dimming sky. A little while later, Aries emerged, and Wang Ji led him to the training hall. The next day, before dawn even broke, Aries opened his eyes. bright, focused. He got out of bed in one smooth motion, like a machine. Was he sleepwalking? He washed up, then stepped outside. From his vantage point, he could see the lights of Hive Island still glowing in the night. He made his way toward the training grounds. Suddenly, a sultry laugh rang out nearby. Even if you're an officer in the Rocks Pirates, you'll still leave here walking funny. Aries looked over and saw a silver-armored man stumbling out of a building, one hand against the wall. It looked like Officer Silver Axe. A nearby madam caught sight of Aries and waved him over with a grin. Well, a fresh one. And still a virgin, I bet. She eyed his towering, muscular frame and muttered, that one's too big. My girls wouldn't survive him. 4 meters tall. Yeah, that was too much. Her girls were moneymakers, not martyrs. Silver Axe turned back for a split second, spotted Aries, and bolted. Panic hit him hard. Crap! Did he see me? Please tell me he didn't recognize me in the dark. For Aries, it was all just background noise. He ignored everything and headed straight for the training hall. He picked up a massive iron rod and began hammering his own body. Thud! 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 The brutal clang of metal against flesh echoed through the chamber. What did it feel like? Aries felt his muscles harden with every strike. A blade forged through endless trials. Pain was just part of the process. He was long used to it. Addicted to it. His body craved the punishment. He felt off if he didn't train. Even a single day without it made him restless. Chapter 13. The iron rod slammed against Aries's muscles with heavy, muffled thuds. Thud. 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 Each strike left his bronzed skin glowing red, his blood surging through his body. His metabolism kicked into overdrive. And the searing pain repeatedly shocked his nerves, triggering fragmented flashes in his mind, visions of a modern city skyline, bustling streets filled with cars, all zipping past on wide roads. Then came a flash of a hospital sign, Guangwei City First Neuro-Oncology Hospital. In the next image, he lay restrained on a hospital bed. A nurse replaced the 4-bag with a fresh bottle of medication. The images flickered rapidly, like a slideshow, ending on the nurse's terrified scream. A patient drank the 4 fluid. Chaos followed. Snapping back to reality, Aries wasn't sure how many times his arm had swung, how many blows he'd landed. Am I Aries, or Li Yang? 1. My father's dying wish was to forge a blade surpassing the supreme grade swords. But my smithing skills could never match his. I have to change. I'll forge myself into that blade. If I can't, then I'll forge someone else into one. 2. These visions weren't new. Every time something jarred his brain, they returned intensely vivid, painfully real. Over time, they made him more tolerant of pain. But it wasn't just training that hardened him. His sculpted chest now blushed red, and he turned the iron rod on his 8-pack abs, each muscle slab larger than a normal man's thigh. Thud. 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 He pounded himself like steel at a forge. Only through relentless hammering can one become a legendary blade. Pain? He was used to it. Maybe even addicted. Inside Skull Castle. Wang Ji, now cleaned up and dressed in his gleaming golden armor, stepped out of his room and made his way to Aries's quarters. Captain Rocks had entrusted Aries to him, so he'd arranged the newcomer's room right next to his own. He knocked. Hey! Aries! You up? No response. He called again. Nothing. Finally, Wang Ji pushed the door open and peered inside. He's not here. Don't tell me he's out training again? This early? He sprinted toward the training hall. Thunderous, booming thuds echoed through the space. He stared, stunned, as Aries hammered away with an iron rod nearly as thick as his own arm. Wang Ji stood over 4 meters tall, taller than Aries by a hair, and even he was shaken. He's not human. Insane. The rod slammed into Aries's body with bone-jarring force, each swing slicing the air. Wang Ji winced. His scalp tingled. He'd thought swimming behind a ship was already nuts, but this was pure madness. Even Kaido's tough, but this guy's next level. If I tried that, I wouldn't last an hour. He stepped forward, voice incredulous. Aries, doesn't that hurt? Yes, Aries replied flatly, without even pausing. Wang Ji stared. That's your hurt's face? You look like you're brushing your teeth. He eyed the rod suspiciously. Is that even real? Or just a prop? But no, those metallic crashes were very real. At this rate, you're gonna wear that thing down to a toothpick, Wang Ji muttered. Then he remembered last night's feast and rolled his eyes. No wonder you eat so much. The image was burned into his brain. Aries had devoured enough for over 100 men. A true bottomless pit. Strongest eater in the entire Rocks Pirates. No contest. He sighed. So, how long are you planning to train? Until it's time to eat. Wang Ji's eyebrow twitched. Why did I even ask? Then Aries looked at him seriously. Captain said that battle tempers a man into a sharp blade. Is there any other way to turn myself into a sword? He shifted the rod to hammer his thigh muscles. Wang Ji stroked his long black beard, deep in thought. When it comes to swordsmanship, the best in the Rocks Pirates is definitely Shiki. But seriously, you're really trying to turn yourself into a sword? He couldn't help the chill that ran down his spine. He'd never heard anything so ridiculous. People aren't metal. Flesh and blood can't be forged like steel. Not just any sword, Aries said. I want to surpass the supreme grade swords. I'll become a blade beyond comparison. His voice rang out like steel, firm and resolute. His next strike sent a shockwave rippling through the air. His muscles quivered, waves rippling like water. Wang Ji flinched. Damn! I'm in pain just watching this. I'm out. Call me when it's time to eat. He turned and fled. Any more of this and he'd lose his appetite. After he left, Aries kept swinging the rod, murmuring to himself. Shiki the Golden Lion. Maybe he knows another way to forge myself into a blade beyond even the supreme grade swords. I'll ask him when I'm done training. The hammering continued. Endless. Thunderous. Relentless. Chapter 14. When Aries finished his training, his massive muscles looked like glowing hot iron. Under the stunned gaze of dozens of pirates, he stepped out of the training hall. As soon as he left, the entire room erupted in shocked uproar. What the hell? Where did that freak come from? That was insane. Is he even human? A single swing from him could flatten one of us. With a body like that, no woman alive could satisfy him. Satisfy? Bro, you'd die trying. Do you know how many times he hit himself? Over 10,000. TCH. The Rocks Pirates just got another monster. Bad news for other pirate crews and the Navy. A chorus of disbelief followed. No one could believe what they'd just witnessed. It was pure madness, like he didn't care about living or dying. After refueling, Aries left the mess hall, ignoring the stunned pirates staring at him. As an official crew member, he was entitled to free food. The unofficial members weren't so lucky. They had to earn their meals or beg for scraps. Most rookies tried to align themselves with various captains. After all, this was a survival of the fittest world. For newcomers, life was brutal. They were cannon fodder, grunt workers hauling cargo, scrubbing decks, cleaning Skull Castle. Every single one of them was gambling with their lives for the hope of becoming an official member of the Rocks Pirates. Aries casually grabbed someone and asked where to find Shiki the Golden Lion, then headed off. Meanwhile, inside Skull Castle. Captain, that guy eats way too much. Do you know how much he eats in one sitting? We can't keep him around. He alone wiped out food for over 100 men. The cooks are dropping like flies. Even the great Rox D. Zebek couldn't help but twitch at the complaints. He forced a smile. Shucky, we've already recruited him. And Aries has limitless potential. He'll grow into someone as powerful as Newgate or Shiki. Sure, he eats a lot now, but later, he'll bring us massive returns. Just hire more cooks. If they collapse, who's going to feed the rest of the crew? Across from him stood a sharp-eyed woman with short black hair and a cigarette between her lips. Shucky took a long drag and exhaled smoke. Her voice was cold. Do you know how much his meals cost? Just the ingredients alone run over 100,000 berries per meal. That's per meal. 3 meals a day means 90 meals a month. He'll burn through over 1 million berries a month. Add in labor costs. Feeding that one guy is like feeding 100. Zebek chuckled. 1 million berries? Then so be it. I've got high hopes for that kid. Money spent on talent is money well spent. Shucky scoffed. Fine. Not my wallet. She turned and left the room. Zebek grinned and walked over to the window, gazing out across the vast world beyond. His eyes sparkled with unshakable ambition. Talent is more precious than gold. If I become the ruler of this world, I won't need money. I'll have it all. I don't care about berries. I want the world itself. He could say that now because the Rocks pirates had already amassed enough wealth to last a lifetime. He wasn't the struggling pirate he once was. Elsewhere, in another room of Skull Castle, Aries knocked on Shiki's door, his massive hand making loud thuds. Inside, chaos broke out. Shiki scrambled to get dressed, whispering urgently to Miss Bakken. Go out the back. I'll pay you what I promised. 1. He tossed her clothes without looking too focused on the situation to enjoy her considerable charms. Miss Bakken slipped on her outfit and warned him sharply, don't forget. 50 million berries, not a single berry less. Go. Go. You'll get your money. Shiki waved her toward the back exit, lighting a cigar as he dressed. She had a killer body and flawless skin. Shame about the gold digging. Once she was gone, Shiki exhaled a long puff of smoke, walked over, and opened the door. He blinked. Aries? What brings you here? He hadn't expected the visitor to be that guy. The same Aries he and Whitebeard had fought over. He'd offered a ton of perks, but Aries hadn't budged or picked a side. Without preamble, Aries stated his intent. Mr. Wang Ji said you're the best swordsman on the ship. I want to know, is there a way to forge a person into a blade that surpasses even the supreme grade swords? His eyes blazed with intensity, full of hunger for knowledge. This again? Shiki remembered the question well. Aries had asked it before back when he'd first met Captain Zebek. Back then, Zebek's answer had been one word, battle. Later, Shiki had learned the full story. Apparently, Aries had undergone a complete transformation years ago, becoming obsessed with turning himself into a living blade. It led to his hellish, inhuman training regime. Aries's obsession was absolute. Shiki rubbed his chin. Let me think. He didn't answer right away. After a moment, he smirked. Human bodies can't truly become swords. But there is a way to make your body rival the sharpest blades. Swordsmen use Haki to forge their weapons into black blades. An armament Haki can massively boost a person's defense. If your Haki's strong enough, even supreme-grade swords can't cut you. Aries's eyes lit up. Armament Haki. What is that? Chapter 15. So the kid didn't even know what armament Haki was. Shiki's eyes flicked left and right as he grinned around his cigar. Come in, kid. Once Aries stepped inside, Shiki quickly shut the door. Take a seat. I'll grab something real quick. When Shiki returned, he was lugging several bottles of rum. He plopped down across from Aries, legs crossed, laughing heartily. Gihahahaha. Aries, want a drink? This is my private stash. Even Whitebeard couldn't buy a sip if he begged me. With a flick of his finger, the cork popped off the bottle with a loud pop. Using his powers, Shiki made it float midair before it zipped downward and landed neatly on the table. I don't drink, Aries said flatly. Now tell me what exactly is armament Haki? His voice was low and steady, but in his heart, an inferno was raging. Haki that could block supreme-grade swords? That could strengthen his body even further? His eyes gleamed, beast-like and intense, radiating a hunger to grow stronger. Ha! Shiki smirked, took a long drag from his cigar, then casually chugged half a bottle like it was water. A pirate without booze isn't a real pirate. You can survive without food or weapons, but not without alcohol. Come on, Aries. Try some. You'll love it. Finish this bottle, and I'll tell you all about Haki. He opened another bottle and slid it across the table to Aries, still wearing that playful grin. He was curious to see what kind of drunk this rookie would be. Aries frowned slightly but picked up the bottle between two fingers as casually as someone holding a lighter. He hesitated. He'd never touched alcohol before. Shiki laughed. Go on, drink. Then I'll explain armament Haki. And how to train it. Hearing that, Aries tilted the bottle and let the liquor flow. A sharp, burning sensation tore down his throat. It was intense. His stomach burned as the alcohol hit, and his blood began to surge. Or maybe it was just his blood pressure spiking. Cough. Cough. He immediately choked. Chugging half a bottle on your first try was not a great idea. The heat swelled in his gut, like a bonfire roaring to life. Shiki burst into laughter. Gihahahaha. You call yourself a pirate? This is only the beginning. Booze feeds a pirate's soul and body. One day, you'll understand just how good drinking can feel. He lifted his bottle again and guzzled it down, his Adam's apple bobbing as the rum vanished. Meanwhile, the taste started to hit Aries differently. The fire in his chest settled into a warm buzz. His head swam. So, this is what it feels like to drink. Feels like I'm floating. His face flushed red, though he didn't notice. He only felt warmer. Without thinking, he tipped back the rest of the bottle. And suddenly, the bitterness didn't bother him so much anymore. The sharp pleasure rippled through his body. This stuff, Heek. This is good. His eyes dulled, once sharp and fierce, now hazy and unfocused. He reached for another bottle. Just like Shiki had done earlier, he popped the cork. It shot into the wall like a bullet. Then he lifted the bottle to his mouth and started guzzling. To most people, one bottle was plenty. But for someone nearly 4 meters tall like Aries, it was barely a gulp. He emptied the bottle in a few seconds and reached for the next. Shiki's expression twisted in horror. Hey! Hey! That's my private stash! You little drunk! You can't just chug it all! But Aries, now fully buzzed, didn't hear a word. One after another, he downed bottle after bottle. Panicked, Shiki spread his arms like a mother hen, shielding his remaining rum. Still holding his cigar, he pleaded, Aries, are you drunk already? No more. That's all I've got. His heart ached. This was his prized collection. And 3 bottles were already gone. Out of just over 10 bottles, that was nearly a third. Aries, however, swayed side to side, dazed. When Shiki blocked the rum, Aries reached out to move him aside. But Aries had no sense of his own strength. Shiki wasn't ready. With one shove, Aries launched him straight through the nearby window. Crash! Glass shattered. Shiki flew right out of Skull Castle, smashing into the street outside with a thunderous boom. Dust and rubble exploded everywhere. People on the street panicked. Did something just fall from the sky? Where did that come from? It came from Skull Castle. What happened in there? Did anyone see what it was? Crowds gathered quickly, eyes locked on the rising smoke. Moments later, Shiki stumbled out of the dust, covered in grime. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Is that Shiki the Golden Lion? Chapter 16. What? That's the Golden Lion. How did he end up flying out of Skull Castle like that? Wait, is he fighting Whitebeard or something? The street erupted in confused chatter. Golden Lion Shiki heard every word as he lay in the rubble. His expression twitched. That little brat Aries had flung him straight into public view. He looked up at the looming Skull Castle and cursed under his breath. Bastard! Drinks my booze and tosses me out like a rag doll. That damn little! Before he could finish, a deafening roar cracked through the air like a thunderclap. I want more booze. 2. The sheer force of the voice sent shockwaves through the street. The windows of Skull Castle shattered one after another with sharp, echoing bursts. Panic spread. People clutched their ears. Some went pale, overwhelmed by the sheer power of the sound. Whose voice was that? That roar just shattered windows. What kind of monster? We're at the base of the rocks, pirates. No way someone dares stir up trouble here. Just the volume alone, what freak did that? Only one man knew what was really happening, Shiki. He muttered in disbelief, no way, he got drunk and lost control. He knew he had to act. Gotta stop that idiot before he tears the whole place down. If he ruins Skull Castle, Zebek's going to kill me. With a whoosh, Shiki shot back toward the castle, his body darting through the sky. And then... boom! The entire wall of the castle exploded outward in a shower of stone and debris. There stood Aries, his muscular frame glowing with tension and drunken fury. His bleary eyes locked onto Shiki as multiple images of him overlapped. Golden Lion! I want more booze! The drunken roar erupted like a gale, blowing Shiki's cigar smoke backward with its sheer volume and alcoholic haze. Shiki's eye twitched. This idiot was wasted. He grumbled, of all the things. I just wanted him to taste alcohol, not fall in love with it. He sighed, clearly regretting his decision. If I don't stop him now, we're going to have a crater where Skull Castle used to be. He didn't draw his blade. Instead, he zipped forward using his float fruit powers. His fist clenched. With a sharp buzz, his forearm turned jet black as armament Haki surged across his skin. Shiki smirked. Didn't you want to learn about armament Haki, brat? Let me give you a first-hand demonstration. He drove his fist at Aries's head with a thunderous whoosh. Boom! Aries's towering body flew backward from the blow, smashing through furniture and flooring, finally crashing into a wall that collapsed under the impact. Shiki blew out smoke with a smug grin. That, kid, is armament Haki. I could make even Kaido bleed with that punch. He flew toward the rubble. But before he got there... crack! The stones burst apart. Aries rose. Hey, you're still standing, Shiki started. But his face fell in the next instant. Aries's massive fist was already flying toward him. Boom! The punch landed square on Shiki's face. His jaw contorted. The cigar shot out of his mouth. He was launched like a cannonball, flying through the same broken wall again. Boom! The second crash hit the street even harder than the first. The bystanders froze. The infamous Golden Lion, one of the Rock's pirates' top brass, had been punched again. Every witness had the same stunned thought. Who the hell is this guy? He'd knocked the Golden Lion flying. Twice. Bastard! Shiki staggered out of the crater, fuming. That punch, that strength, it wasn't normal. A pulsing purple bruise was forming near his eye, tinged with blood. He looked ridiculous, his badass aura ruined, his cigar gone. He had just wanted to teach the kid a lesson and scold him for drinking all his precious booze. Instead, he got wrecked. In front of everyone. The humiliation would spread like wildfire across Hakinosu Island. Furious, Shiki snarled at the onlookers. Shut up! A shockwave burst from him as his conqueror's haki exploded outward like a hurricane. People collapsed on the spot, their minds overwhelmed. Silence fell like a guillotine. Those still conscious were paralyzed with fear. Sweat poured from every pore. Shiki's golden mane puffed up like an angry cat's. Then the sunlight vanished. Everyone looked up. A massive figure blocked out the sun. From above came a drunken, enraged voice that shook the sky. Bastard! You dared sucker punch me! Aries's thoughts were a chaotic mess. Shiki's haki punch had left him reeling, and his drunken state only made things worse. He muttered, confused, trying to take my first blood. First blood? What's that? His brain jumped tracks again. He screamed in rage, wild and furious. Golden-haired lion. Prepare to die. Chapter 17. Aries came crashing down from the sky, fist raised high, his face flushed crimson like a drunken god of war. The muscles in his arms bulged grotesquely, swelling several times larger, hard, and tense like steel cables. They pulsed with explosive power, and Kaido, of all people, knew that feeling firsthand. Rah! With a terrifying roar, Aries launched his punch, the air itself warping around his fist with rippling shockwaves. This blow could shatter boulders and cleave steel. You little punk, I won't go easy this time. Shiki snarled. His arms were now cloaked in armament haki, a shimmering blackish-purple flame-like aura coating them, not literal fire, but the fearsome manifestation of peak-level haki. Though not a master of hand-to-hand combat, Shiki's control of armament haki was refined to near perfection. Even without his swordsmanship, he was still a monster. I'm knocking you out cold, brat! Shiki howled, eager to restore his pride under the gaze of the entire island. Their fists collided. Aries's massive hand easily several times the size of Shiki's. Boom! The impact echoed like thunder cracking open a clear sky. Aries's hulking body was launched backward, crashing straight through a 3-story building, flattening it completely. Shiki grinned triumphantly. Grrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr flicker of unease flashed in his eyes. That brat's strength without Haki is already monstrous. If he learns armament Haki, I won't be able to brawl with him head-on anymore. Floating midair, Shiki radiated power. Down below, the pirates of Hakinosu Island began to recover from their shock. That's the Golden Lion for you. Captain of the 1st Division of the Rocks Pirates. Who was that giant? He's got guts going up against Shiki. Didn't that one punch finish him off? Shiki hasn't even drawn his swords or used his devil fruit powers yet. The commotion had drawn others from the Rocks Pirates. Whitebeard, leaning on his massive naginata, called out, "Oi, Shiki! What the hell's going on up there?" He burst into laughter. "Gurururera! I heard you got smacked around. Let ol Whitebeard have a look." He hadn't seen the incident firsthand, but the chance to tease Shiki was irresistible. Shiki's face went pale as ash. Lighting a fresh cigar, he muttered, "It was that brat Aries. I just wanted to give him a taste of good liquor, who knew he'd get wasted and go berserk." Aries. Whitebeard blinked, then laughed harder. "Ha! That kid's a real pirate now. Nothing like a good drink to bring a crew together. After all, what kind of pirate life is complete without meat and booze?" Soon, Charlotte Linling, Captain John, Wang Ji, Silver Axe, and others gathered, demanding answers. The quake of battle had shaken the entire island. Right then, the rebel stirred. Aries, face flushed, slowly rose. He clutched his head, clearly dizzy. Ugh, my head's pounding. Memories of getting launched by Shiki's punch flashed through his mind. His blood surged. That burning heat still roiled in his veins. His muddled brain replayed the moment Shiki had activated his armament Haki. That power! Why was his punch stronger than mine? NGH, this headache! Clutching his skull with one hand, Aries instinctively balled the other into a fist and tried to imitate Shiki's move. His mind was a storm of fragmented memories and instincts. He had no idea what he was doing, only that something inside was responding. Then it happened. Unlike normal armament Haki, Aries' arm turned blazing red. Unaware of it himself, his chaotic drunken state had triggered a backwards awakening, a freak improvisation of Haki. From the rebel, the transformation stunned everyone. The crowd went stiff, jaws slack. What the hell? Wang Ji gasped. Why is his arm red and smoking? Thin white tendrils of vapor curled from Aries' skin. Captain John, mid-swig, spat his rum out. What kind of monster is this kid? He's no devil fruit user, right? Silver Axe added, baffled. I saw him swimming days ago. No fruit user can survive in seawater like that. All eyes turned toward Charlotte Linling. Her pupils sparkled. Her enormous body trembled slightly, her eyes full of desire. Her crimson tongue slowly traced her lips. How delicious! I wonder if he can make other parts burn like that too. 4. That heat must feel amazing. He. She flushed with excitement. Hormones surged through her massive frame. Her brown eyes shimmered like waves. This was going to be fun. Chapter 18. The thought kept spiraling in Charlotte Linling's mind, sending her body into a feverish frenzy. Drool gushed from her open mouth, splattering onto the ground with a loud hiss, as if her saliva itself was corrosive. That's exactly why her husbands never had a happy ending. Ordinary men simply couldn't survive the overwhelming passion of this monstrous woman. The pirates around her backed away instinctively, afraid even a single drop of that saliva might touch them. Hovering above, Shiki's face twisted in disbelief. What the hell is going on? I just punched the guy. Why does he look even more terrifying now? Aries' red-hot arm looked like it had been pulled from a forge, searing and unnatural. And the next second... boom! Aries' massive body shot up like a cannonball, soaring toward Shiki with terrifying force. The heat radiating from his arm made Shiki's pupils shrink. This kid, still not sober. There was no time to hesitate. Shiki wrapped his fist in armament Haki and met Aries' punch head-on. Boom! The impact cracked the sky, unleashing shockwaves like a typhoon that tore through the entire town. Roofs rattled, windows shattered, and items clanged and clattered across the streets. Shiki's eyes went wide. When the hell did this brat get so strong? Earlier, one punch had sent Aries flying like a ragdoll. But now, even a fully empowered strike laced with Haki couldn't suppress him. What kind of insane growth rate was this? Shiki's jaw nearly dropped. That crimson arm, scorching and strange, it had to be the reason. It felt denser, tougher, and bursting with power. Kid, is this some hidden battle technique of yours? He blurted, half in disbelief. It was so different from standard armament Haki that Shiki didn't even associate it with Haki at all. The next moment, Aries plummeted from the sky, unable to fly. Shiki followed close behind. Their fists clashed midair like a torrential storm, blow after blow, so fast it left after images in the air. Boom! 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 A rapid series of muffled thuds thundered down from the heavens. Whitebeard watched, visibly stunned. This kid, that's some freakish growth. He's holding his own against Shiki's armament Haki. Even though Shiki wasn't using his full strength, for a kid who looked barely 15, this was unheard of. Had he not witnessed it himself, he never would have believed it. Shiki wasn't just anyone, he was the first division commander of the Rocks Pirates, already over 30 years old, a legend on the seas. Captain John's eyes lit up as he chugged from his bottle, grin stretching wide. Ha ha ha. This brat's a monster. If he keeps growing like this, he'll be a powerhouse in no time. In a few short years, Aries' name will shake the Grand Line. He'll be one of Captain Rox's top lieutenants, no doubt. John's chest swelled with excitement. Strength, stamina, battle instinct, this kid had it all. With time, he'd make the Rocks Pirates unstoppable. Invincible. He could already imagine a future where they ruled the new world, and he could finally live the dream of sleeping on mountains of treasure and guzzling rum till he passed out. But not everyone shared his excitement. Kaido, who had once been flattened by Aries, stood frozen in shock, jaw so wide it could swallow a table. How is this guy this strong? He screamed internally. Damn it! He wasn't this powerful before. Why is the gap getting so big? The overwhelming difference filled Kaido with frustration. The gap between him and Aries had grown into a chasm. Just days ago, he still believed that with training and determination, he could catch up. Beat Aries. Now, that hope was shrinking fast. His once blazing drive to surpass Aries began to flicker, dimming under the crushing weight of reality. But then, a voice echoed in the depths of his soul, telling him that if he gave in now, if he admitted inferiority, he would never be worthy of the crown. Kaido's massive eyes lit up with fire. Clenching his fists tight, he declared, "No. I'm Kaido, born with the blood of a king. One day, I'll become the strongest in this sea. I will never admit defeat." A violent aura surged from him, Conqueror's Haki. Several pirates turned their heads in surprise. But among the Rocks Pirates, Conqueror's Haki was nothing new. Not just Rocks himself, but also Shiki, Whitebeard, and even Linling had mastered it. Boom! Boom! Crash! Boom! The battle above raged on, destroying buildings left and right. Shiki's face darkened. This kid's stamina and strength, he's a damn monster. My arm's going numb from the impact. How long is he gonna stay drunk? If he doesn't snap out of it soon, I'll have to draw my swords. He hadn't expected this at all. That mysterious transformation had cranked Aries' power through the roof. Even among the Rocks crew, Aries was now standing out. Shiki finally shouted, frustration boiling over. Hey! Aries! Snap out of it already! Chapter 19. Shiki was met with Aries' brutal, blazing red fist. Like a red-hot branding iron, it packed tremendous force, every bit as powerful as Shiki's armament Haki. Aries' mind was still clouded, swinging wildly and instinctively with a chaotic, crude version of Haki. This mutated armament Haki burned more energy than normal, but it was also stronger. Tougher. Heavier. He burned through his strength recklessly, and in his drunken state, the primal brutality of every collision filled him with raw joy. Boom! 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 Each impact rang like thunder, shaking the earth itself. Shiki shouted down to Whitebeard, "Oi! Help me restrain this brat. He's drunk out of his mind. We can't let him keep going like this." Shiki really didn't want to draw his sword. Hurting Aries by accident would be a disaster. Besides, after all these punches, Shiki's own arms were starting to go numb. Whitebeard grinned from ear to ear. Gurururura! This is perfect. Let's see just how strong this little monster really is. You can't even beat him in a fist fight. He casually tossed his naginata to a nearby crewman. His legs thudded heavily against the ground as he walked forward. Whitebeard roared, "Out of the way!" Shiki instantly darted aside. Whitebeard leaped high into the air like a charging bull. Veins bulged across his muscled arms. "Aries! Let's see if you can take my punch." His fist drew back, coiling with terrifying might. With a shout, he unleashed it. The air twisted from the force of the blow. Aries instinctively reacted, still drunk, throwing his own punch upward. Boom! Their massive fists collided, Whitebeard from above, Aries from below. The result was instant. Aries's feet shattered the ground beneath him, legs sinking deep into the earth. Stone slabs around him exploded outward, forming a wide crater. A tremendous impact. A force like an earthquake. Aries felt the shockwave ripple through his entire body. Suddenly, his hazy eyes cleared. He looked up, dazed. What happened? New Gate? Why are you here? Wasn't I just drinking with Shiki? Drinking? Whitebeard's face twitched. He lowered his fist and landed beside Aries. You got drunk, kid. You're sober now. This kid was a monster. Whitebeard hadn't gone all out, but he'd estimated Aries would at least get flattened. Yet the punch just sobered him up. He'd seen many drunk pirates in his day, but never one who got stronger, fought the 1st Division commander, and only snapped out of it after taking a punch from Whitebeard himself. Most shocking of all? Shiki had actually been forced on the defensive. Whitebeard laughed heartily. Next time, pace yourself. That was your first time drinking, wasn't it? Once your tolerance builds up, we'll drink properly, you and me. Drink all you want, as long as you can handle it. Shiki flew over with a dark look. Oi, Aries. You downed 7 or 8 bottles of my best vintage in one go. That stuff's priceless. Not something you can just buy with a bag of berries. If I'd known you were a lightweight, I'd have given you cheap rum. He was clearly heartbroken. He'd genuinely wanted to welcome Aries, even if the kid wasn't ready to join his division yet. It was supposed to be a gesture of goodwill. He never expected this disaster. Sorry. Aries scratched his head awkwardly. The destruction all around them made things pretty clear. He must have caused serious trouble. How much would it cost to fix everything? He asked sheepishly. He had no money. Just the pants he was wearing. He'd gone shirtless for nearly 2 years now, wrestling beasts in the wild and shredding every outfit he owned. Whitebeard stepped up and slapped his shoulder. Don't worry about it. We'll handle the repairs. Just pull your weight during the next mission. You can pay me back then. A few million berries would cover the damage, a trivial sum for Whitebeard. Shiki floated down beside Aries. This started because of me. Let me pay for it. After witnessing Aries's strength, he wanted this kid badly. That strange state Aries entered while drunk had boosted his power immensely. He'd stood toe-to-toe with Shiki's armament Haki. And he wasn't even fully grown. That level of talent was impossible to ignore. Whitebeard glanced sideways at Shiki, eyes narrowing. Yellow-haired lion, why don't you go ask Captain John for some bruise cream? You've got a nice bump on your forehead. Maybe if you get another, it'll balance out. Grrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr all. How was I supposed to know this brat hits like a madman when drunk? Aries smiled awkwardly. It was him who gave Shiki that lump. Captain John finally stepped forward, chuckling. This kid's gonna need training in holding his liquor. Let's all head back. He didn't even care about Shiki's bump. With a body like his, it'd heal fast. Just looked a bit ridiculous in the meantime. Whitebeard suddenly slung an arm around Aries's shoulder. So, kid, how'd it feel to clobber the golden lion? His eyes sparkled with mischief as he glanced at Shiki. Pride and mockery radiated from his smirk. The 1st Division commander, Shiki the Golden Lion, flattened by a kid who'd only just joined the crew. Whitebeard couldn't stop grinning. Shiki seethed. White-haired bastard. If you bring this up again, I'll shave off your precious beard in your sleep. You dare. Whitebeard's eyes flared. You touch my beard, I'll rip out every yellow strand on your head. I'll make you the first bald lion in history. 1. Chapter 20. With Whitebeard and the Golden Lion on either side of him, Aries looked like part of a trio of old brothers, walking off with their arms slung around each other's shoulders. They strolled farther and farther away toward Skull Castle. In town, the pirates left behind exchanged stunned glances, as if they'd just witnessed something unimaginable. Once the trio disappeared into the distance, the crowd erupted into frantic whispers and gasps. Who the hell is that guy? Why does he look so chummy with Whitebeard and the Golden Lion? No way, did Aries really just tank Whitebeard's punch like it was nothing? That punch only woke him up. You kidding me? Barely anyone can take a hit from Whitebeard and stay standing, let alone act like it was a glass of water. That guy just joined the Rocks Pirates a few days ago. Handpicked by Captain Rocks himself as an official crew member. The guy's an absolute beast. A rookie? That monstrous guy is a rookie. Countless eyes stared at Aries' retreating back with envy. Being a full-fledged member of the Rocks Pirates meant a whole different level of treatment. And being favored by both Whitebeard and the Golden Lion? His future was blindingly bright. No matter what it takes, I'm going to get that man. Charlotte Linling declared, eyes burning with determination. But with Whitebeard and the Golden Lion present, there wasn't much she could do now. Not to mention, other high-ranking crew members were still nearby. She looked down at the man beside her, Streusen, and licked her lips excitedly. Streusen, any ideas on how to get Aries to join my squad? Her eyes were filled with such greedy desire, it made even the sight of a feast pale in comparison. Streusen, long familiar with Linling's tastes, broke into a cold sweat. That guy's strong. Whitebeard's punch only served to sober him up. And he's growing too fast. If we want him on your team, we'll have to go after his dream. Remember what the villagers told us? The kid's a little nuts. He's obsessed with becoming a living sword. Maybe we can work with that. 6. Aries' strength was evolving at a terrifying pace. In just a few years, he might become a division commander. And he was still just a teenager. If he kept this up, he could one day stand alongside Captain Rocks as a living legend. Perfect, Linling whispered, eyes narrowing with excitement. She leaned in close to Streusen, eyes gleaming like a demon's. Figure it out. That man must be mine. The vision of Aries' burning red arm from earlier flashed through her mind, making her shudder. Streusen nearly passed out from the pressure of her demonic gaze. Cold sweat drenched his forehead. You understood. It felt like his very soul and lifespan were being drained. Only when Linling turned her attention away did the overwhelming terror subside. Streusen exhaled heavily, wiping the sweat from his brow, and followed her out. Not far away, Kaido was hit with another brutal blow to his pride. His resolve wavered. Why is Aries getting so strong so fast? How could Whitebeard's punch only wake him up? Is his talent really just like Linling's, something the rest of us can never hope to match? Linling's natural strength was already inhuman. Nobody had ever broken through her defenses. Kaido clenched his fists and turned away, face grim. He knew now. If he didn't train every second, he'd never catch up to Aries. Never surpass him. Never reclaim his pride. He stormed away, walking alone. 100 meters later, someone blocked his path. A towering figure, nearly matching Kaido in size. Charlotte Linling looked at him, her eyes clouded with lust. You want power? Satisfy me first, and I'll make sure you get stronger. Otherwise, you'll never catch up to Aries. The burning desire in her body was too much to contain. If she couldn't have Aries, Kaido was the next best thing. Kaido's face darkened. He'd once tried to hook up with Linling. But back then, he'd learned the hard way. She wasn't just promiscuous, she was practically a public ship. A vulgar way of saying she'd been around. 1. To make matters worse, she'd even been pregnant at the time. but her massive size had hidden it completely. After that, Kaido cut contact. The thought of her now made his skin crawl. Still, she was a commander in the Rocks Pirates, far stronger than him. Should he reject her? Or accept it for the power? Elsewhere, Whitebeard and the Golden Lion were in the middle of yet another screaming match. Aries stared in disbelief. How are these two still on the same ship? Don't they ever actually fight each other? He'd lived alone for years. This made no sense. But he shook the thought away and turned to Shiki. Shiki, you promised to tell me what armament Haki is. Can you explain now? The bickering stopped immediately. Shiki replied, armament Haki is a way to use your body's power. It's better than armor. You can use it for offense, and it can hit Logia-type devil fruit users. Think of it like a hidden energy inside your body. You need special techniques to draw it out. The two most common uses are hardening and emission. Then he suddenly remembered something. Oh yeah, I told you before, swordsmen can use it to forge a black blade. Aries blinked. Black blade? I've heard of supreme grade, great grade, and skillful grade swords, but never a black blade. What's that? Chapter 21. Ordinary blades are bound to chip or break in combat, especially when clashing against stronger weapons, Shiki said solemnly, his tone uncharacteristically serious. But a black blade is different. It's forged by tempering the sword with armament Haki, making it sharper and tougher than ever. As long as your Haki is strong enough, your blade will never break. Not even after hundreds of years, it'll still cut through iron like butter. That's a black blade. In the end, the strength of a black blade came down to the strength of its wielder's Haki. With that, Shiki drew one of the swords at his waist. His arm suddenly transformed, turning pitch black and metallic, gleaming coldly in the light. Armament Haki quickly flowed from his arm into the blade, dyeing the once silver edge jet black. Chomping on his cigar, Shiki grinned smugly. This is a black blade. 1. Whoosh. He turned his head and exhaled a puff of smoke like a showman finishing a performance. Aries's eyes lit up like golden spotlights. He was practically buzzing with excitement. With armament Haki, I can make my body even harder than a sword. If my Haki's strong enough, I'll surpass all named blades. No, not just named blades. I'll surpass even the supreme grade swords. Eyes blazing like twin searchlights, Aries turned to Shiki, nearly breathless with anticipation. Come on. Teach me armament Haki. Unknowingly, the three of them had arrived in front of Skull Castle. Whitebeard chuckled. Let's head inside first. With your physique, you'll pick up Haki in no time. The moment they stepped through the castle gates, Whitebeard and Shiki started bickering again. Blondie, your room's a disaster. You want to bring Aries there? So what? I'll just take him to one of my men's quarters. He's learning Haki from me, not from you, white hair. And why can't I teach him? Do you even know how to forge a black blade? Hey! Face to face, the two were practically pressing foreheads. If not for the cigar between Shiki's lips, their noses would have collided. Enough already. Let's go to my room, Aries interrupted, cutting through the chaos. Both men turned toward him, paused, then nodded in agreement. One on either side of him again. Problem solved, they walked off with arms slung around each other once more. The other pirates watched in stunned silence. Aries's room was simple, with only the barest essentials. But neither Whitebeard nor Shiki cared. Their focus was squarely on Aries. Shiki glared at Whitebeard before turning to Aries. Armament Haki is the breath of your body, the inner force within. To wield it, you must fully master your body. It lets you draw out your strength and potential. He looked excited, almost giddy, wondering how far a monster like Aries could take armament Haki. Here, put your hand on my arm. Feel for yourself how I use it. Aries, eyes glowing with anticipation, pressed his large hand to Shiki's forearm. "All right. Show me." Buzz. A low hum rang out as Shiki's arm hardened in an instant, taking on the sheen of polished black metal. "Incredible!" Aries cried, eyes wide with wonder. "So this is armament Haki, turning flesh into something harder than steel. This is exactly what I need." His heart pounded with excitement. This was it, the power to surpass even the supreme grade swords. With armament Haki, his body could become tougher than any named blade. Seeing the fire in Aries' eyes, Shiki smirked. "So? Hard enough for you?" 3. He suddenly recalled last night's indulgence with Miss Bakken and her